The Millbank Theatre has been unnaturally dark and silent these past few months, but while we wait impatiently for the lights to come back on, for plans to be put in place, and for Project 2020 to resume, we're going to delve into the very interesting archives of Rush Dramatic Society and reflect over the years since it was founded in 1927. The first pictures here are from Fingal Local Studies and Archive and from Rush History and Photos Facebook page, and give an idea of what Rush was like in the early to mid-years of the 20th century. One of the earliest references to drama in Rush comes in a newspaper article in the Drogheda Independent in December 1928, in an article entitled Irish Night in Rush, a Pleasant Entertainment. The writer begins, "This is the season of plays and rumours of plays. All through the countryside, earnest students of drama are meeting night after night, and many are the revelations of histrionic ability and disability displayed by those to whom the call of the footlights has come." The article describes the interval acts in some detail, from Mrs. Smith singing a rushing dove to a rush quartet with a four-hand reel, before the programme continues with another sketch in what the writer describes as perhaps the best performance of the night, before the article concludes, "Amid the applause of the audience, the curtain descended and brought to an end a very jolly evening." The following year, the Drogheda Independent provides another article saying, "Rush seems to be coming into its own as a centre for a pleasant evening's entertainment. For rarely a week passes without some enterprising person getting up a concert of some description, and it's always well supported by the people of the surrounding district." There are quite a few articles in the newspapers through the 1930s and into the 40s, but the first photograph we have in the theatre archives is this one from 1946. It is of the cast of The Rugged Path by George Shields, and George Shields himself was a very popular playwright at the time. Rush Drama Group put plays of his on, including Professor Tim, The Caretakers, The New Gossoon, and Grogan and the Ferret. The cast shown here are, at the back, Matt Murtagh, Paddy Martin, Joe Walsh, Morris Kane, and David Langan, and in the front we have Kitty Weldon, Terry Keane, Roger King, Annie Martin, Brendan Dunn, Eilish McGuinness, Anita Murtagh, and Jim Carty. This minute book also dates from 1946, from the 16th of September that year, and the minutes reveal the usual ups and downs of running any group, difficulties with low attendances at rehearsals, where to stage a play, answering correspondence from groups looking for a performance to benefit causes as diverse as table tennis to the old IRA welfare fund. At one point, the secretary is called upon to write to the parochial committee of the Knoll to get their scenery back. In 1955, the group performed Autumn Fire by T.C. Murray and went on to win awards for the actors and the director. This photograph shows the cast, with the addition of Eilidh Daly seen on the left at the back, who is commended for stepping in at the last minute in place of a cast member taken ill. The play was directed, or produced as was the term at the time, by David Langan, who also acted in it and played a splendid Morgan Keegan, according to a newspaper report. At the back in this photograph we have Eilidh Daly, Micheál Clarkin, Loretta Jones, Mickey Reedy and Annie Martin, and in the front we have David Langan, Vera Walls, Kitty Weldon and Jim Carty. A dinner dance was held in the Grand Hotel in Malahide to celebrate the success of that play. Tickets, as you can see here, cost 12 shillings and sixpence. In the 1950s also, the dramatic players, then called CYMS players, presented pantomimes. This is the cast from the 1951 production of Dick Whittington. Here, Roger King and Jim Carty clown around. In 1953 they played Mother Goose, in 1954 Robinson Crusoe, and in 1955 Simple Simon. All were performed in the Palladium in Rush. In scenes from Mother Goose we see here Roger King and Joe Walsh on the left, and Jim Carty with Andy Monks as a goose. These pantomimes were performed in traditional time early in the year, leaving the rest of the year for plays such as this one, 1954, The Righteous Are Bold by Frank Carney, showing cast members Annie Martin and Joe Walsh. Rush entered the Amateur Drama Council of Ireland festivals for the first time in 1959 with Is the Priest at Home by Joseph Tumilty. The cast are at the back: Willie Price, Paddy Carty, Errol Ward, Jim Carty, Richie Leonard and Peadar Clerkin, and at the front Vera Walls, Annie Martin, David Langan, Amelia Foley and Petra Fearon. This piece from the Irish Independent on the 11th of May 1959 gives details of 4 major trophies, gold medals and a certificate for production were won by Rush CYMS players when the results of the National Drama Festival of Ireland were announced last night in Father Matthew Hall. A newspaper reported that the established names of Jim Carty, Annie Martin and David Langan ensured a worthwhile performance, while adding that some fresher names joined a high standard that has been associated with this gifted group. Earl Ward ably portrayed the demanding part of Father Mallon. Vera Walls gave Mrs. O'Kane all the smugness she needed, while much encouraging new talents were observed amongst the parts played by Irene Lennon, Paddy Carty and Pater Clerkin. This is Shadow and Substance by Paul Vincent Carroll, performed in 1964, with cast members at the back Jerry Fearon, Richie Leonard, Mary Tighe, Pater Clerkin, Sean Smith, Gay Jones, and in the front Breed Duffy, Andy Monks, Vera Walls and Mary Srourke. And Mary Srourke won Best Actress Award at Rollstown Drama Festival for her part. Andy Monks, who directed the previous play, was also the director of The Year of the Hiker by John B. Keane in 1965 and was complimented on his production in the newspaper review that pronounced him well served by his players. The Hiker was played by Jim Carty, and the other cast members shown here are from left Sean Smith, Pater Clerkin, Mary Srourke and Jerry Fearon. The play was staged in the Tideway in Rush as well as in the Savoy Cinema in Balbriggan as advertised here. Mary Keane was born in the town and became an actor on stage and screen, appearing in films such as Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon and David Lean's Ryan's Daughter, as well as many stage productions. There are 27 listed on Irish Playography website alone. She played Maggie Pulpin in the world premiere of John B. Keane's Big Maggie in Cork Opera House in 1969, so we can't scurry past 1972 without mentioning her return to her native town to play that role and selling out the Tideway for all performances. Seen here in the top photograph, flanked by cast members Richard Seaver and Pater Clerkin on the left, and by Rosaleen O'Donnell and Una Boyle on the right, and Brendan Dunn is with Mary in the photograph at the bottom. Anyone who frequents the theatre in Rush would be familiar with the photographs that are in the bar at the moment. It is fortunate that these have been preserved along with the history of the group, compiled in 1977 by Pater Clerkin, and containing much detail and including all the plays that had been performed up to that point and those specifically for festivals. This photograph shows the 50th anniversary celebrations with Lawrence McGuinness, Father Drummy, Gay Jones, David Langan, Vera Walls, Andy Monks, Terry Keane and Sean Smith. It's worth remembering that at this time Rush Dramatic Society still had no place to call home. For example, this play They Got What They Wanted by Louis Dalton was performed in 1979 in Rush National School, where a stage was specially built for the production. The cast shown here in the photograph are Sean Smith, Alan White, Claire Coleman, Gay Jones, Moya Mackle, Pater Clerkin, David Langan who directed, John Lawler, Paddy Lee, Dennis Hickey, Rosaleen White, David White, Jim Carty. The 1980s saw great successes for Rush Dramatic Society. In 1982 they won the All-Ireland Drama League final in Mullingar with Hugh Leonard's Da, directed by Andy Monks. The cast here are seen at the back Bob Brown, Barbara Landy, Sean Smith and Gay Jones, and at the front Theresa Price, Pater Clerkin, Mary Monks and Donal Hurley. The adjudicator Joe Dowling was reported as saying that it was as near perfect a production as one would ever see, and awarded the group the top prize in the open section. They were nominated by the League to represent Ireland in the International Festival of Theatre in the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester, which took place in September that year. The play was put on in the Balrothery Inn over 3 nights in July to raise funds for this trip. And in 1986, the play Win Some, Lose Some, written by Mary Monks for RTE Access Community Television, was filmed around Rush with members of Rush Dramatic Society appearing in it. It was later shown on RTE television. Then at last, a property came available on Chapel Green, which the Society bought with members' funds. The following year they applied for a grant from the Department of the Environment in order to develop the site as a theatre, and this grant, combined with community fundraising and a mortgage, facilitated the provision of Rush Dramatic Society's permanent home. The Millbank Theatre opened with a production of Juno and the Paycock by Sean O'Casey in November 1988. The cast members shown here are at the back Michael Doyle, Joe Murtagh, Mary Monks, Kathleen Hanratty, Mary Gallagher, Gay Jones, Bernard Tonge and Alan Tracy. And at the front we have Peadar Clerkin, Teresa Price, Angie Monks, Rosaline Sheelan, Alan White and Peg Colgan. From the 1990s we've selected plays at random, such as this one from The Field by John B. Keane, showing cast member Rosaline Sheelan, Mary Monks, Gay Jones, Peadar Clerkin. And this one is from 1992, showing Michael O'Sullivan and Paul Dowling in another John B. Keane play, Sive. And in 1997, production of Happy Birthday Dear Alice by Bernard Farrell, we see at the back Paul Dowling, Gay Jones, Moya Mackle, Donal Hurley, and at the front Rosaline Sheelan, flanked by Lorna Seaver and Celeste Jones. This is Arsenic and Old Lace by Joseph Kesselring from 1999, showing director Pascal O'Sullivan at the front, surrounded by a cast and crew of familiar faces. And this play is from 2001. It's a production of The Beauty Queen of Leenane by Martin McDonagh, with Tommy Campbell, Barbara Hart, Cormac McDonagh, Anne McCrudden, Sean Corcoran, Moya Mackle, who directed it, Lindsay Rurock, with Margaret O'Riordan sitting at the front in this cast and crew picture. In 2002, there was further significant development, aided primarily by a grant from the Department of the Arts, allowing the theatre to upgrade to a state-of-the-art venue that it is today by doubling the size of the stage area, adding modern backstage rehearsal and changing facilities. This development allowed the group to extend the range and number of annual productions, as well as facilitating visiting artists. An art commissioned by local artist Paul Darcy resulted in the installation of what is known fondly as Oscar, and can be seen here in the garden, which was also part of the design. From 2004, Rush Dramatic Society began to host Rush Drama Festival and play an annual part in the Amateur Drama Council of Ireland competitions. The following are some samples of the variety of more recent plays. This is All My Sons by Arthur Miller from 2005. Again this is 2006, It's Never Too Late by Tommy Monaghan. 2007, The Last Apache Reunion by Bernard Farrell. 2008, God's Favourite by Neil Simon. 2009, Allo Allo by Jeremy Lloyd and David Croft. 2010, Blood Brothers by Willie Russell. 2011, Tom, Dick and Harry by Ray Cooney. 2012, Private Lives by Noel Coward. 2014, Big Maggie by John B. Keane. John B. Keane is well represented in the archives, as in common with most amateur dramatic societies, his plays were a staple of our repertoire from the 1960s onwards. In compiling this whistle-stop tour of the theatre archives through newspaper cuttings, photographs, programmes, memorabilia, there is much not mentioned in detail, such as junior drama. There was actually a junior drama class in Rush from 1946, and maybe before that, when Mrs. Langan and Mrs. Ward ran a juvenile dramatic society. Here we have the Drama Dudes, member of the youngest players, from a 2015 showcase, and pantomimes which were revived in 2016. These are the Seven Dwarfs from a production of Snow White in 2018. Then there's Myth, the Millbank Youth Theatre, the Teenage Players. There's their showcase from 2017, and we have to mention as well the one-act festivals, the musicians, local groups including Rush Musical Society, who have staged magnificent musical theatre over the years within the venue, the many and diverse visitors, theatre audiences, patrons, dramatic society members and office holders. The list is endless of people who utilise the theatre. And finally, the only production that made it onto the Millbank Theatre stage for a performance by Rush Dramatic Society members in 2020 so far. It is of course the revival of the 39 Steps, and shows cast and crew May Sullivan, Patricia Daly, Peter Weldon, Siobhan Whelan, Alicia Mooney, Sean Corcoran, Louis Rice, Eileen Foley, Sandra Gildee, and at the front Brian Hosford and Stephanie O'Sullivan. I hope this presentation reveals to some extent the importance of the theatre archive as a very valuable resource, recording not only the story of Rush Dramatic Society and the Millbank Theatre, but also the social history of the area over the last 10 decades. Thank you for listening.